Hello, everyone. My name is Josh, and this is the Teams Recap. It has been over a month since the last recap, and way too much information and new features and news has surfaced since that last episode leading up to right now. So I am not going to attempt to cover all that. It would take way too long. This week is Microsoft Inspire, though, so we will cover the relevant topics, news items for both Skype for Business and Teams that came up from Microsoft Inspire in the last few days. And then we'll also talk about a few topics from the week and maybe 2 weeks leading up to Microsoft Inspire. As it relates to Teams news as well. Sorry, Microsoft Teams. There is a bit of a push right now to make sure that we do not confuse which teams we are talking about since the announcement of WebEx Teams. If I forget to say Microsoft Teams at any moment, please just know I am mean Microsoft Teams when I say Teams. We'll leave it at that for now. I'll make every effort to get it right as we move forward here. Um, Before jumping into the news, couple quick things in the community. There are an enormous amount of events coming up. Aside from Inspire happening right now, there is a number of US-based user groups kicking off for the Q3. A lot of good content coming up there. So check out your local location on skypeug.com to see if you've got an event coming up, and make sure to get registered. As always, free event, great company, good food. So sign up. Hopefully, we'll see you there. September 10th, the Evolve Conference, formerly UC Day UK, is going to be happening in the UK again September 10th. So keep your eyes out for that one as well. And then Ignite will be right on the heels of that at the end of September, just like it was last year. Same place as last year. We'll be back in Orlando. Really looking forward to seeing you all there. On that note, I am beyond stoked. I am super excited that I will be given the opportunity to speak. I've been accepted as a speaker at Microsoft Ignite this year, and I couldn't be more excited for taking part in that. This will be a really cool thing. So stay tuned for more news. I'll share topics and all that stuff as pieces come together and we put it out there. But I'm really excited to be speaking at Ignite. So keep your eyes out for that session, and I hope I'll see as many of you as possible in there. If not for learning, at least for entertainment, right? Come laugh at the guy in the cowboy hat. That's always a good time. So anyway, that's coming up in September. A lot's happening before then. Let's jump to the news. Okay, here we go, infinity screen, and I have a lot of browser tabs up today. Since I haven't seen any actual announcements out in the tech community or the official Microsoft blog sites covering some of these news items that have happened at Inspire, which kind of surprised me. Maybe there will be a recapping blog post or few after this, but because of that, I'm going to go ahead and share all the tweets that broke with this news so that you can learn the way I learned via Twitter. And the first one of these items, we're going to give Skype for Business Server some love today. Fellow MVP Adam Jacobs announced that it was announced at Ignite that, not Ignite, Inspire, that Skype for Business Server 2019 is going into public preview July 24th. If you're not keeping track, that is 6 days from now. 6 days. You will finally be able to get your hands on the public preview of Skype for Business Server 2019. So get those labs dusted off and get ready to start kicking the tires on this new Skype for Business Server version. Looking forward to hearing people's thoughts and seeing all the feedback that hits the interwebs once it's out there in the wild. So, Adam, thanks for breaking that and letting the rest of the world know that this was announced at Inspire. Moving on, Ann Michaels of Microsoft, as she keeps us well informed on a regular basis, and thank you for all you do in that regard, Ann. This little tidbit was a really cool big announcement, new feature. This was talked about previously and demoed at Enterprise Connect, for example. It is the translation piece for in-messaging translation. So new in Microsoft Teams. So, and I followed up on this one, other tweet. It is GA. You can translate a message in a chat or a channel with just a simple click, and there you see it in the picture she shared. A note: admins need to turn this feature on first. I am going to go to a blog post before too long in this episode or maybe at the end we'll see. But going over a blog post from also fellow MVP Mark Vale, he did a great write-up on implementing this. So I hope I remember to pull up the browser and check that one out really quick here. All right. Moving things over, Bill Bliss, also of Microsoft, as you can see over here, platform architect and head developer of the ecosystem for Microsoft Teams. As he calls out, one of the most requested developer features, and it really was talked about and requested a lot, code snippets is now available in Microsoft Teams. Pretty cool stuff. Now, this will make it much easier for developers to have long-running, persistent conversations where they're able to throw some code in there, uh, talk about that with their fellow coders and all the other things you coders do with each other. And yeah, anyway, really good tool for those in the development community. Really glad to see this, and I know a huge portion of the development world that works in Teams was super excited for this announcement. So thank you for sharing, Bill. Okay, next up, Justin Morris. He had this tweet out announced by Lori Wright, also of Microsoft. At Microsoft Inspire, Teams now has complete feature parity with Skype for Business. Now, this is an exciting announcement. This is very cool, and I don't want to water down this announcement at all. So let me be careful with the way I say this here. But you should approach this news with a little bit of caution, okay? Well, Microsoft has been rolling out things that parity was dependent on, like federation over the last few weeks. Some of these features are not quite in full form like they are in Skype for Business Online. Yes, they're there to some extent, but there are still things missing or coming out over time. So while they appear to have, they've made this announcement, they've reached parity. I'd still love to see a blog post detailing all that. So hopefully we will soon. But just know there are some caveats to this, in particular, because I've been following this topic, and this topic has been hugely important to me as I have conversations with customers and talk about teams and when to move to teams. Federation, while there, is not all the way there. Okay, there are still situations in which federation may not work as you expect it with all other organizations, particularly organizations that are running Skype for Business server on-prem with no hybrid, and the communication between teams and those organizations is not exactly what we would call federation yet. So there are some scenarios in which it's not a full picture, it is a developing picture, and it is great to see that there is some federation capabilities out there as of right now, and there is more coming as well. Looking forward to a more pronounced roadmap on these remaining pieces as we move forward, though. So exciting news. Glad Microsoft was able to get to this point. As we all know, parity was supposed to have been reached at the end of Q2, but there were a few roadmap items that kind of slid over the line into Q3 there, and Microsoft got to a point where they were able to make this announcement at Inspire. So very good stuff, very exciting. Again, it will be great to maybe see some follow up in a blog post on the specifics to those remaining items and their release. So awesome stuff. Thank you for sharing, Justin. Appreciate it. Next up, also some news out of Inspire. Landis Technologies has announced the public preview of their Office 365 Contact Center. This was announced earlier in the year, was demoed at Enterprise Connect. I got a great demo from their team there. Exciting stuff what they're doing there, bringing some contact center functionality into the Office 365 phone system ecosystem for both Teams and Skype for Business Online. There is a link to more information about the product at the Landis Technologies website in this post. So if you want to check out this page with all of these tabs that I'm showing you, go to the description in the YouTube video and you will see links to all these different pieces of content. You can get more information at that site there. You can go down here and request demos or preview access, have a talk with them about the capabilities and what it can do. And I'm not sure what the timeline is on Inspire, if it's still going or what the deal is, but Landis Technologies is at booth 300 for Microsoft Inspire. If there's still time by the time this video makes it out there and you happen to catch it while you're at Inspire, even as busy as you probably are, head on over and have a chat with the guys over at Landis Technologies. And congrats to Matt Landis and the entire team on getting this thing pushed to the public preview finish line there. We're looking forward to having it in full GA for all the customers that have subscribed to their products. All right, let's take a look at a string of posts from the tech community and from docs.microsoft.com. We've got and by the way, if you haven't gone to tech community or haven't signed up as a member of tech community, strongly advise you do that. Excellent resources on forums, on blog posts, just getting help from the rest of the community and other MVPs. It's a great place for you to be signed up and plugged into. I'll end that plug there. Microsoft Teams in a virtual environment. So there is some support for this. This was announced 5 days ago, but there is a caveat or two big caveats that you should pay attention to here. All right, you can read a little bit about this, what VDI is, and the fact that Teams can be accessed through VDI, whether it's web or desktop software, whatever the case may be. But how do they word that here? Let me see. Since Teams is on the virtual desktop, has not been optimized to access or use audio or video devices on the user's local device without additional software, working in a VDI environment will usually have challenges as it relates to multimedia scenarios. Kind of goes, without saying almost, but we're thinking video calling, audio, screen sharing, real-time media components here. So organizations can choose to run Teams fully in VDI, but the recommendation is that the following policies be turned off. Let's take a quick look at what these policies are. Calling, allow private calling. So allow a phone call in Teams. They recommend you set that to false. That's a pretty big one, right? Here's the PowerShell for that, but that's a real-time workload, and they're saying it probably won't go too well in a VDI environment. So if you're using Teams in that environment, calling might not be something you want to use it for. Next up, meetings, another big one. Which settings in meetings, though? This whole list right here, and I'm not going to go through all those. Pretty much most things to do with real-time workloads. Again, they give the recommendations for what you should have it set to, pretty much false and turn it off across the board. A description of what each setting is. Review this in detail. PowerShell instructions for that as well. Here's a few other known limitations that you'll want to check out if you are exploring VDI, even after seeing the above caveats. Essentially, Teams in a VDI environment is well suited for the collaboration work stack. The Teams tab with the channels and the chat, and that's what it's well suited for. So think about it as you're thinking about deploying Teams, and you're thinking about the environment you're going to deploy it into, and you're thinking about the workloads that you're hoping to put in Teams. This is a really good thing to consider if VDI is a consideration for you. Next up is live events. All right, this is really cool. So as is noted later in this blog post, if you don't get it from these first sentence or two here and from the name live events will eventually replace Skype meeting broadcast. That is the story. Attendees can join these experiences where they are through Stream, Yammer, or Teams. So that's pretty cool. The live event delivers a one-to-many video and content streaming to a large online audience, just like what you'd expect from Skype meeting broadcasts. And it's in preview, okay? This is not GA yet. This has gone out in preview. It's been rolled out to a lot of tenants. I've verified it's in mine now. Set up a test live event, and it's pretty. If you've worked with Skype meeting broadcast, you can work your way around there. But going through these posts on how-tos and other things that you should know is a really good idea. Here's the architecture behind it. All right, there's what it looks like, what's going on behind the scenes. Live event production. There are a couple options for setting up these live events. Here's your quick start option, and that lets you produce live events using the Teams client. Best for facilitating remote participants, or if there is a need to use USB audio and video devices connected to the PC. Now, if you want to get a little fancier, coming soon is this external encoder experience. Really cool for using third-party hardware and software via Stream. Stream will support the studio quality equipment like media mixers that can stream to a real-time messaging protocol. This option is typically used in large-scale events such as company all hands. This is the key component here, where a single stream from a media mixer is broadcasted from multiple in-room inputs. Really cool stuff. Again, this is not something you go out and spend a couple $100 on at the store and you're ready to roll with it. This is, you made a significant investment in production quality events. External encoders might be the way to go for setting up your future live events. Planning live events in teams. We have a quick overview here of the different roles, what it looks like to step through. And I mean, it's very similar, just creating a meeting in Teams, right? This looks really familiar to you. From the drop down up top here, you would hit the drop down and then choose new live event preview instead of new meeting. And then you continue to invite people, put a location, a title, date and time, and any details and notes you need in there. Also, we take care of the new live event preview production type. Here's the quick start we talked about earlier, and the external encoder right here, which like was set up above, coming soon. A couple different options we can check. We can have video on demand, recording available for download, captions, and then you can choose the language, and Q&A. So some cool things that are coming there. And then the different things a producer can do, obviously controlling all sorts of production aspects with the event. Here's kind of what that looks like for a producer quick start view and a producer encoder view. And then we've got the actual presenter view down here. Well, presenters, as they sound like, they can send audio, video, and screen sharing to the live event. They are the ones sharing content, whether that content is themselves or a deck. And then of course, you've got your attendees. They can experience the live event using DVR controls or on demand. Attendees can also interact with the presenters using Teams Q&A or Yammer. Okay, pretty cool stuff. Optimized bandwidth for the enterprise network. Some cool notes there about third-party ECDN stuff that's coming soon. And then what's next for Skype meeting broadcast? I mentioned this earlier. Microsoft is going to continue to support Skype meeting broadcast events that are currently planned and will be planned in the future with no disruption of service up until they get to the point where they say there will be disruption to service. And obviously at that point, live events will be GA. And that's what you should be switching over to when that time comes. For now, though, Skype meeting broadcast, you're still good to go on your current and upcoming events. And you'll still be able to plan events in there until live events goes GA and presumably till some period of time after that. Good stuff. Great post. I'm going to jump off of this post into another one that is similar to this. What are Teams live events? And this is this was linked to from this article, I believe. Yeah, Heidi's article had a link, I think somewhere in here, right here at the very bottom. Try it out over here, and then here's some documentation for the IT pros. So we take that, we go to the documentation, we get an overview on what Teams live events are, look at key components, we go over a lot of the stuff we just talked about, and then we talk about prerequisites. That's good to know if you want to get started. Who can watch the live event? Also good information. This is the part that's really cool. You take a look at the capabilities matrix. This has Skype meeting broadcast right next to Teams live events quick start and external encoder option. Very cool. All kinds of features that you can look at that exist across the different platforms and which platform has what. As you can see, we still are supporting 10,000 attendees across the board. And there's a number of things that are similar as well, but then you get some extra features as well in these new Teams live events. So this continues to go down planning and setup, regional availability, exclusions, PowerShell relating to it, a whole bunch of good information. I'm not going to go into all that. This is for you IT pros out there to dig into and start learning the nuts and bolts, but really good thing to check out. So make sure you do. All right, next up, let's see if we can get this page to load. All right, I'm not going to spend a lot of time dwelling on this. This is another kind of introduction to live events, but from the Microsoft Stream viewpoint. Okay, so take a look at this. Take a look at this announcement that it links to over here. Read through it. You see setting this up in Stream. You see the options available in Stream. You see producer capabilities in Stream. But one thing I want to make sure you go and watch is this Microsoft Mechanics video that's about halfway down this post. Great video, great overview. As always, the production quality of these Microsoft Mechanics episodes are top-notch. It's about 20 minutes long, but it doesn't waste any time talking about fluff. It's all to the point, very in-depth overview. Check that out. And last but not least, there is a new free version for Microsoft Teams. Direct compete for Slack, right? Yes, obviously. Not that Microsoft, in my opinion, really needed that to ensure success of Teams. Teams has been getting great adoption, has amazing numbers, and is doing well. But this is going to provide a new avenue into Teams for users who might not already be Office 365 customers and might have very small needs and would love to use the tool, but really don't want to pony up any dough for it right away. This will let them get started on a topical level, and then it may end up bringing those people into the Office 365 platform as a whole as they get used to it and decide they want more or need more resources. So, good move on Microsoft's part. It's a pretty full-featured experience for the most part. As we can see, we have a desktop version and a mobile version, so good stuff there. What else can you expect with a free version? Well, it goes for all these features for up to 300 people. We have unlimited chat messages and search. That's pretty good. Built-in audio and video calling for individuals, and groups and full team meetups. Obviously, we don't have the PSTN piece in here, right? Because we're not connecting into phone system yet. It's not a paid solution. So, a good thing to make note of. 10 gig of team file storage plus an additional 2 gigs per person for personal storage. So you do the math. You have 300 people in this thing, 2 gig per person, 600 gigs right there of personal storage plus 10 gigs of team storage. There you go. Integrated real-time content creation with Office online apps, so including all the normal Office apps that you work with on a regular basis, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. They're all in there. Obviously, you don't get the Office Online experience outside of Teams, but you do get the in Teams, Word, Excel, etc. experience, which in my opinion, I've used them a ton. And while they're not full featured, they are a very good option for editing and working on documents on the go. So pretty cool to see that in there. Unlimited app integrations with over 140 business apps from the store. Okay. And then the ability to communicate and collaborate with anyone inside or outside your organization, backed by Microsoft Secure Global Infrastructure, including the guest experience. Let me make note of that. And then another Microsoft Mechanics video. It's time with Dan Stevenson. Again, great quality, worth the watch. Check out this video. Get caught up on what is new with or what free teams is, who it's available to, what situations free teams can be accessed, what would happen if an existing user or a user of an existing tenant that already has Office 365 licenses purchased, if they try to sign up for free teams, what happens then? There's good information both in this document and in the video. So make sure you check out this post. Really good to get caught up on that. Okay, stop and catch my breath. I don't think that there's any more I should cover at this point. Let me go. Going over to Mark Vale's blog, I talked about this earlier in terms of Federation and Microsoft Teams. I would strongly advise, and I will link to this, but I will strongly advise that you go and check out this blog post on Federation capabilities for Microsoft Teams. Mark does a good job at explaining all the ins and outs and the specific instances and even screenshots of what it looks like when something doesn't work as expected. It is definitely worth the read if you're wondering how Federation currently differs in Teams from Skype for Business Online. Mark, by the way, Mark has been on fire with his blog recently. He has put out a number of posts, news from Inspire, and just a number of other things just over the last week. There's been a ton. So go check him out. Check out what he's got going on this blog. Follow him on Twitter at Unified Vale. Great source of information, especially about what's going on lately with Teams and the world of unified communications in Microsoft's cloud. So, see, he's even got stuff on the message translation here, and calling app doesn't load, and prevent file sharing with guest users. All stuff within the last week. This is great. Check out Mark's blog at valeconsulting.co.uk. Okay, jump back over here. I feel tired after this episode. That's that's a lot of talking. That's a lot of news. I need to do this more often so there isn't so much stuff to have to cover at one time. But hey, it is what it is for now. So let's wrap up. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope that I'll bump into some of you either at the user groups coming up this quarter or Ignite coming up in the fall, or online with some of the MSUC.chat monthly groups that go on. If you're curious about those, go check it out, MSUC.chat. We'd love to have you on there each month talking with the rest of the community. Great way to connect and just have a good time catching up on what's new. Thank you all again. We'll see you for the next Teams recap.